Yo, welcome into the show, BroMob. It is episode 2 of week 1 of the NFL. That means it's Wednesday, September 4th, one day before the first game of the season. Man, I am pumped. This episode, we've got so much for you. We got start and sits. We've got week 1 sleepers and busts, and just some last minute tips and tricks that's going to help you win this week. Brian's going to give you some. Try not to listen. It's going to be bad. Just listen to me, and you'll see. That's you. I can't do it anymore.
Terrible.
No rhymes.
Terrible. I was going to try to let you finish it, but what you did is you buried yourself a hole, and then you laid in it and went bye-bye.
Yeah, I definitely buried a hole for that, but I'm not burying a hole for this week, Brian. I'm coming out in all of my fantasy leagues hard, and I'm beating everybody. I'm going to win in every league.
I don't know about that. Yes. I feel like you're going to win in the loser column. You're going to put W's in the L column.
Interested.
And you know what that means. Lots of ties.
4 ties.
Would that be a record if you have 4 ties?
It might be a record. If it happened, can I send it to somebody and get paid?
No. Why?
Oh, okay. I just want to get paid.
Oh, well.
It would be nice to make some money. I
suggest you call Geico. I hear they can save you a couple bucks. And you know what that means. When you save a couple bucks, you have a couple bucks. And therefore,
this episode is terrible. So bad so far. What's up, BroMob? We're here today to give you so much information. First of all, I mean, game's tomorrow, and it finally looks like some big news has happened, and somebody might be playing week 1. We don't know yet, though. So Let's get into this, Brian. Mr. Zeke Elliott was offered a deal and it's an extension that goes for 6 years, $90 million. If you do the math, put it out there. I'm going to put it right into the machine because I can't even do the math right now, so I'm going to throw it in the machine. Yep. It is too much is what it is. The machine came back and said too
5.
much. Yes.
Machine says default 5 plus a 1 is $15 million a year.
$15 million a year, more than Gurley's $14 million, making Zeke the highest paid running back in NFL history. All he needs to do now, Brian, is learn how to use a pen, because what is he waiting on?
Well, last I heard, per Twitter, it seemed like possibly they ran out of paper for all the zeros, or ink, or Zeke wasn't happy with the quality of paper. Maybe that's what it was.
That's what it was.
He wanted it on a really thick stock, and so so Jason Garrett's running all over the city right now trying to find the right paper.
He probably wanted a massive bowl of cereal that they just didn't have. He just wants to eat pure W's against Jerry Jones, just eating Dallas Stars. He goes, "Thank you for all of my money and money that you will not have to pay other players. Thank you so much."
He says to them, "I would like a bowl of cereal and each cereal grain. What's happening? Gurnal.
What
grain? Kernels. Kernel. For each dollar I'm going to make off of you. So 90 million gurnals."
Cereal's made of oats.
So, there you go. That's what I'm
gurnals.
Well, hey, some of it's not made of oats, you know.
God, we're really off to a bad start. But Zeke, all you got to do is learn how to use a pen, and then not only will the Cowboys be paying you an astronomical amount of money, but Mr. Brian Davidson will have to own up on a slap bet of his own, which is, in my opinion, worth so much more.
Yeah. Hey, so did you hear about the Jared Goff news?
Not letting you buy with it. It's going to be happening. I hope you got your face ready for a good old slapping, because it's happening.
My face is always ready for anything. What?
Weird.
Yeah.
All All right, bro, Mob. Well, we got so much to talk about. Let's just get right into it. Be sure to follow along after the show by following us on Twitter and Instagram at FF Bros Podcast, and be sure to search hashtag BroMob. Brian, let's get into the show.
Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right, so week 1, we've got some quick tips for you that Brian and I have thrown together to help you dominate this first week of the NFL season, this first week of your fantasy season. So, BroMob managers out there, listen up, because we're here to help. Brian, hit him with some knowledge.
All right, so here's the deal. Don't listen to Chad. Just listen to your guy, Bri, all right? He's going to help you get those dubs. Now, why am I talking like this? I don't know, but this is your first tip.
It's off to a bad start.
Number one is be sure to remove players that play on Thursday night from your flex spot. I know it seems simple. However, if you have a player in your flex spot, let's say on a Thursday, and let's say you have a wide receiver or a running back get injured in practice on Friday. Now that flex spot is locked up, and you might be forced to play a running back or a wide receiver that you don't want to play because you locked in your flex spot on a Thursday. So move your running back or wide receiver that plays on Thursday into the running back or wide receiver spot so that your flex spot is open to be able to play any player that you have available on your bench.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to be backed into a corner week 1 especially. So take care of that. BroMob, pro tip right now, right here. You're hearing it from me first. Chad Davidson, not Brian Davidson. Full head of hair, no head of hair over there. Keep an eye on that last-minute weather report in week 1. For example, we've got a pretty nasty hurricane happening down in the southeast of America right now. It's actually intensified back up to a Category 4 today. And so if it sticks around, it shouldn't. I mean, theoretically speaking, a hurricane should not last this long. It shouldn't last into the weekend and into Sunday. But let's say it downgrades over time and it still kind of sticks around, turns into a tropical storm, turns into just a nasty storm. Even a nasty storm is bad for fantasy football purposes. And that's right against a whole lot of teams. We got Miami, we got Jacksonville, we got Tampa Bay, multiple teams down there playing, even in the Carolinas. It could be happening there. So keep an eye on that weather report. Understand that if there's a big storm, you might not be getting good production out of quarterbacks, wide receivers. Running backs might get used more, so you might be able to get more production out of a running back in that week. So keep an eye on that. Make sure you're not making any bad decisions last minute.
Yeah, and side note on that too is it's more we get more concerned with wind and bitter cold, and then when you get that together along with rain or snow, which is rare for this time of the year, but like Chad said, the hurricane is something to watch. We're keeping an eye on it, so keep your eyes peeled to our key to the title. We will have a weather report in there. We're monitoring all those things for you to let you know what you should be concerned about and what you shouldn't. As of right now, it looks like a green light, so I'm with you on that, Chad. Another pro tip is to be out there, to be following injured players that are practicing during the week. So, for example, if you've got a player that is questionable to play on Sunday, however, they make practice Thursday and Friday, I doubt that there's much you need to be concerned about. You can feel confident in most likely playing that guy. However, if you've got a questionable player, a wide receiver, running back, they miss Wednesday's practice, they miss Thursday's practice, the statistics, the more and more practice they miss, the higher likelihood it is that they'll miss the game. So they miss Friday's practice, and statistically speaking, it's highly unlikely they play on Sunday. Sometimes there's cases where, they sit them out in a precautionary standpoint so that if they're participating in walkthroughs and so forth, those are things you want to look at. But if they just flat out miss all week, that's not a good sign. And you want to keep your eyes peeled for that. That means you want to flag that player and be paying attention to the pregame shows or staying tuned to the Fantasy Football Bros, because we're going to keep you up to date on those things as we get closer and closer to game day on Sunday. So following what the player is doing from a practice standpoint during the week is extremely critical for making sure you don't get stuck with a player that last minute is is a no-go or is out for the game, and now he's stuck in your lineup. You can't get him out.
Yeah, the only person I can ever even actually think of that is, I don't want to say the exception because then it'll happen where you start him and he doesn't play. But the only person I've ever seen miss weeks of practice is Julio Jones and still play. he's a freak. So just understand that most of the time those players aren't playing. So, all right, the last tip here, we've got take one last look at teams' depth charts because it's telling who's going to be the starting player on that team for your fantasy purposes. It's going to be telling of what that production is going to be for that player. Because a starting player on your fantasy squad might not be the starting player for that fantasy player's team. So, for example, Brian, who's the starting running back for the Miami Dolphins in Week 1?
Well, currently on the depth chart, it's Kenyon Drake.
Interesting. So most people had been watching and seeing Kalen Ballage eat up all of the carries in the preseason, all of the carries in all offseason workouts, practices, and everything, and thinking to themselves, I got me a steal in Ballage. Well, Kenyon Drake comes back from a minor ankle injury there, and he's still got that number 1 job. So keep an eye on that stuff. And I got one more for you, Brian. Who's the starting running back for the San Francisco 49ers in Week 1?
I believe Matt Breida.
You're absolutely right. Matt Breida, ladies and gentlemen. A guy who people thought was going to be the third stringer with Jerick McKinnon and Mr. Tevin Coleman coming to town. Jerick McKinnon's injury opens it up for Breida. We understand he's an electric player, and he did very well in that offense last season. He's smaller, and he can't handle a full workload, which is awesome because now Tevin Coleman's there to take some load off of him. This is a type of player that's going to be doing some good things for you. So Matt Breida, the starter, if you have Tevin Coleman, I still believe he's going to be a good start for you, but understand he's not the starter for the team.
You ever hear Matt Breida's name and get instantly hungry? You know, like you hear Matt Breida and it sounds like burrito, and then you want to eat a burrito.
God, I hate you. You're just the worst.
So hungry.
You are the absolute worst. No, I don't think of burritos.
I do. Every time I hear his name, I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry. Sorry, but not sorry. I hear Matt Burrito in my head all the time.
Well, now I'm thinking of burritos. And
yep,
I want
see,
a burrito.
That's my point.
Not because of burrito, but because you legitimately brought up burritos. So now I want one. So
Here's a quick question. Hot question. Microwaved beef burrito or Chipotle burrito?
Oh, I'm thinking about this harder than I need to.
Yeah, I know. That just goes to show you.
So, for just the ease of it, the microwave burrito is great because you don't got to leave your house.
I mean, technically, you don't have to leave your house for the Chipotle burrito either because they deliver now.
Yeah, but that's extra money. And they both have the same outcome.
So the value matters too.
So values included. You just get more bang for your buck with freezer burritos. I'm sorry.
You also get more bang out the other end the next day. So all right, let's move on.
Let's move on here.
I'm ready to go in, Coach. Just give me a chance. I know there's a lot riding on it, but it's all psychological.
All right, Brian. This first week, we've got our starts and sits. These are a bit of a deeper look, BroMob. It's a little bit deeper of a look into the beyond. You know, you got Bed Bath & Beyond. The word beyond there, you're always like, what's that mean? This is what this means. We're looking and we're digging deeper for your teams. So we're not just going to come out here and say, you need to be starting DeAndre Hopkins. You need to be starting Saquon Barkley. Because, duh. Why would you not be starting these players?
Yeah,
right?
Duh. Yeah,
so
get your mind right, okay?
Yeah, get your mind in the right place, BroMob. We're going to help you figure out the players that you're iffy on. And you go, should I have them in my flex? Or should this be my second running back? My second wide receiver? And we're here to tell you yes or no. So let's start it off, Brian, with our yeses, our starts. Mr. Chris Carson, Week 1. He's got a golden matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals, going up against last year's 29th ranked rush defense, and just quite frankly, one of the worst defenses in general in the NFL. They haven't improved that defense. They've actually lost players. one of them went off to Oakland Raiders. That was one of their better linebackers, but it's going to be an absolute field day for one of the NFL's top rushing offenses. It was number one in the NFL last season. They're going to run all over them, and Chris Carson's going to be the beneficiary to that. So BroMob, if you're wondering, should I keep Chris Carson in my RB2, my flex position? The answer is absolutely, unequivocally, yes.
I love this Chris Carson, aka the Shanghai Knight. I love him. Okay,
please explain.
Carson City, Shanghai Noon, or whatever, Shanghai Night. Take me to Carson City, Chris Carson. Okay, just come on, man. Get with me.
I'm losing it over here.
Get with me, all right? I love me some Chris Carson. You know who I also like? I like Tyler Poppet and Lockett, all right? I love me some Pop Lockett. 32nd pass defense in the league against the Bengals, all right? They're Jets losing it. I don't know, BroMob. Okay, I quit. But Tyler Lockett should have himself a field day. Clearly, we think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to spank the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh my God, BroMob! I had to go on mute. Tyler Pop and Lockett. What am I listening to? Oh,
nickname city over here, dude. So we got Chris, the Shanghai Knight, Carson, and Tyler Poppet Lockett. All right. Put them on the board. You definitely want to get them in your lineups. You have them. I've got Tyler Lockett in our league of record. I'm starting him with confidence, and you should too.
Yeah, I really like the Lockett pick. And here's a little bit of a deeper pick. He went later in drafts than Lockett. Some people are actually he went later than normal because of the fact that he was getting some flack from his head coach. But it turns out that flack is most likely going to be the kindling to his fire. We've got Mr. Dante Pettis coming in here. Dante, the Ring of Inferno. Ring of Inferno, Dante.
Yes. These nicknames are
to
hot.
Light it up against Tampa Bay week 1. I mean, it's a cake matchup. Tampa Bay was one of the worst passing defenses in the league last year. I think they're going to improve in the middle of the field, so you're going to see a lot of better linebacker play out of them, but their corners are still just a nightmare. So Mr. Dante Pettis should feed off of that. He's very formal. Mr. Dante Pettis. Very formal. He's going to formalize some touchdowns for you. Possibly 2. I'm seeing a big game out of Dante Pettis week 1. I have him in a couple of leagues, and if my teams weren't so amazing, I'd have him in there. You know what? No, I'm feeling it. I'm going to put him into one of my leagues. Not going to tell you which one, though, Brian, because I know you're in it, and I'm not going to let you know about my lineups. So get out of my head.
I'm always trying to figure out your lineups so I can know what not to do. So Kerryon Johnson is our Lath with a TH.
Oh, with a P. Lapth. That's what I heard.
Kerryon Johnson is our Lath.
Donald Duck over here.
Yeah, clearly. I like to think to myself, which one is the Donald Duck that's like super rich? What's that guy's name?
Scrooge.
Darkwing Duck?
McDuck.
Darkwing Duck? Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck over here, counting his coins. Kerryon Johnson is our 4th start of the week. And, this is maybe a little more obvious. People spent some pretty high draft capital on Kerryon this year. So obviously you're probably going to play him. But the matchup, if you've got, let's say Kerryon's like somehow happens to be your 3rd running back. You've got Kerryon going up against the last place rushing defense in the league to start the season. You definitely want to get him involved. He's a freak of nature type running back. Very indicative to I see a lot of Adrian Peterson in him when he runs. Ooh. And so I kind of see it in him. And so I think Kerryon Johnson's definitely a guy you want to have playing in your league, on your team. English, Brian. To start this year. So Kerryon Johnson, number 4.
Kerryon Johnson definitely going to be counting some coins like Scrooge McDuck week 1 because he's going to be going absolutely nuts for your team. So that is going to be it for our starts, BroMob. if you'd like to see some more, we got a whole bunch of them that's going to be up on our Key to the Title. So check out keytothetitle.com to check out the remainder of our starts for week 1. Now to go into our nasty sits. These are players that, BroMob, you shouldn't be starting them because they're going to have some bad weeks for you. Luckily, the players that we have here, you're not forced to play them. One of them, the very first one, Brian, I'll let you mention them here, but the very first one, you might have to play him because you probably took him a little early. But Brian, let our BroMob know what number 1 is.
Yeah, so number 1 is Marlon Mack, and we think definitely you should sit him against the top, one of the top rushing defenses in the league last year. Right, last year they were ranked 9th in the Chargers defense, and so running back Marlon Mack for the Indianapolis Colts is going to be a guy that you probably want to stay away from. If anything, really just to see. I think they'll feature him heavy in the game to start, but our feeling is the Chargers probably dominate this game. The game is in LA, so Indy's got to travel across the United States to the West Coast. That's always a difficult thing for teams to do, and especially to start the season. The weather report is calling for pretty clear skies, decent weather, so we're not really concerned about anything there and that even is, I would say that it's even worse against Mac because it just means that the passing game is going to be featured for the Chargers, and so I would say stay clear of Marlon Mack this week.
Yeah, he's going to be more of a Marlon Mack heart attack week 1 as opposed to a Marlon Mack Big Mac.
A Mac attack.
The Mac
Smack
attack.
A Mac attack.
He's definitely going to smack attack you this week,
yeah.
So keep him on your bench. Smack him on the bench. Number 2 for week 1 that you need to have smacked on the bench. We mentioned him earlier. He's got the starting job, which is awesome for him. Good for you, Mr. Kenyon Drake. Because you're going up against the number 4 rushing defense in the league in Baltimore. So good luck against that heavy front. They're going to be blitzing like crazy. They're going to stop everything they possibly can. They know Fitzmagic is back there, and there's not going to be that much magic going around because this defense is going to gobble everything up. Kenyon Drake ain't going to be anywhere.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those starter magic kits that you get where they just teach you how to pick a card. You're going to get one. It's going to be disappointing is the key. So stay away from Kenyon Drake.
That joke was very disappointing.
Yeah, well, you can't win them all. So number 3 is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. God, I have to go slow with the name because it's complex.
MVS.
So yes, the wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. So look, guys, they're going up against the Bears defense. I don't even know why I need to say anything more. That should be enough. 7th best pass defense in the league last year. They're in Chicago on a Thursday night game, which is typically kind of like a weird night during the week. I think week 1 might be the only a Thursday night game you kind of scoop to the side and say that's because you've had all offseason to prepare. But, look, this is a game that I think MVS probably not going to want to have him in your lineup.
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid MVS week 1. I got him in a lot of leagues. I think he's a definite sleeper pick for the season. He's got a lot of potential there as the wide receiver 2 in Green Bay, but the problem is he doesn't have a cake matchup week 1. So
yep,
he's gonna look a lot more like Brian Davidson than Marquez Valdez-Scantling week 1. So let me just put it out there like that.
Means he's gonna look good.
Not so good. Last on our list here, we've got Austin Hooper, who again is another type of sleeper pick there at tight end for the season, but going up against one of the best safety tandems in the league in Minnesota as well. It's a loud crowd, man. That thing goes crazy. That whenever they get that the horn going and they got the drums going and then they start doing the skull chant, oh man, things just get out of hand. So I think it's going to be a lot of throwing in this game, but I don't think it's going to be very efficient throwing because Minnesota is going to keep Matt Ryan on his toes, not doing too well, and Mr. Austin Hooper is not going to do well week 1.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, Brian, let's move on.
Sleepers.
All right, our week 1 sleepers here. These again, BroMob, these are sleepers that we have done some heavy research into. We see their matchups, we see their opportunity, and we believe that these are types of players that you don't necessarily need to be starting, but you should keep an eye on if you have a weak spot in your flex or you got a weak spot in your wide receiver position. These are the type of players that could give you some extra points that you were looking for week 1. They might not win you the week, but they'll definitely keep you going, or they could win you the week. I mean, it's a possibility, especially with a couple of these names here. So, Brian, who do you got week 1?
So week 1, first sleeper on the list is D.D. Westbrook, wide receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mm-hmm. And D.D. going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, which, look, he's got a new quarterback, Nick Foles, throwing him the ball. They're in Jacksonville. So they get the benefit of being home. Kansas City going to be on the road. And look, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars defense is back. I think they'll be pretty tough this year. It should keep the Jaguars competitive, which should give DD the opportunity to, to continue to shine a little bit. So I think good game ahead for DD Westbrook.
Yeah, and consequently, a good game ahead for Nick Foles as well. Listen, even if, let's say, Jacksonville isn't a better defense, they were great against the pass last season. They were the number one of the top 3 pass defenses in the league. But let's say they're not as good as they were last season, and Kansas City just starts throwing the ball like crazy and puts points up on the board. That's good news for DD, and that's good news for Nick Foles because they're going to have to throw the ball a whole bunch and get you some garbage points. So garbage points are always good for fantasy football. I don't care what you say. 4th quarter points, 3rd quarter points, I'll take them all day because points are points. Number 2, we've got Matt Breida. We already talked about him, Mr. Burrito himself, going up against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Listen, this Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, it's up there in Vegas, in what Vegas is saying going to be one of the top 4 scoring games of the week.
Yeah, over 50 points projected in this game. So high scoring, Vegas projecting a very high scoring game between Tampa Bay and San Francisco.
Yep. So Matt Breida, the starting running back of one of the better run schemes in the NFL with Kyle Shanahan there, looking to feast week 1. He is an electric player. They got a good offensive line that'll open up holes for him. All he needs is one because he can bust them. He can bust them for some very long gains. So he might not get you a touchdown, but if he does, he possibly winning the week because he'll have some good yardage. He'll get used in the passing game. He'll have some receptions, points from receptions, and things like that. Matt Breida, a really good sleeper for your team this week.
Chad, let me ask you this, just kind of a side note. I know a lot of BroMob, if you drafted earlier, unfortunately, before the LaShawn McCoy news broke and he was released and then signed in Kansas City, let's say you're sitting with Damian Williams on your team and you spend some high draft capital, you're feeling kind of bummed out, you're thin. Let's say you went with in the first 4 or 5 rounds, you went heavy wide receiver, you're short on running back. Would you be against Matt Breida over Damian Williams?
I don't think I would be. I would consider starting Matt Breida over Damian Williams. I still think Damian Williams is going to have a good role on the team. But I really think they're going to split carries pretty evenly between the both of them. And I still think they might work in Darwin Thompson from time to time as well. So Damian Williams took a really big hit with McCoy coming to town. And I think Matt Breida, hey, it's a shared backfield in San Fran. We get it. But Kyle Shanahan has proved time and time again that he can make 2 running backs on the same roster very fantasy relevant. So Matt Breida and even Tevin Coleman. Tevin Coleman's going to be the touchdown vulture. He'll have a good week too. But I think Matt Breida is going to be the beneficiary for all the yardage and all of the passing down work.
Yeah, I that's the reason I asked you is because, I mean, look, you've got Kansas City going up against Jacksonville. Tough run D, and so tough defense in general. But I think Matt Breida, the matchup is there, right? And so if you're a little light on it or you need a running back start this week, Matt Breida might be your guy. Next on this list to finish it up is running back Justin Jackson for the I almost said San Diego. Wow.
San Diego.
The Los Angeles San Diego. You know what that means. The Los Angeles Chargers. So look, he's going to share a backfield with Austin Eckler. That should be noted. But he should get some carries, and notably, he may get some goal carries as well. So I could definitely see this being a shared backfield. And I would say Justin Jackson has some ability to play. He might be somebody you target in deeper leagues where you need that guy, and maybe you're Maybe you got a 2 running back and then a flex spot, so you got to fill that third flex area, and you're light in other areas. Justin Jackson might be a guy that you turn to.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually see Justin Jackson getting more carries than people think he's going to get, because he's actually very competent runner. And we saw it last year with the team whenever he got the role, and we saw it this preseason as well when he was out there running as well. So him and Austin Eckler, that's a really good 1-2 punch. And I see a very good change of pace between the both of them. So I think they both get used heavily in this game. All right, Brian, let's move on to our final segment here.
Busts.
World's longest car crash to introduce us to one of the harshest segments. BroMob, we've got our week 1 busts. And man, do we got some names here that you're not going to like. Brian, I'm going to let you go with number 1 because I know you don't like it. You were saying, I don't want him to be it, but you know it's true.
Yeah, I don't. This hurts my soul just talking about him. But he's my guy this year, but he's not going to be somebody you want to be starting for week 1. And again, it goes back to the respect that I have, and I know, Chad, you have it too, for that Bears defense. Running back Aaron Jones for the Green Bay Packers is on our bust list. And let me just say first that a bust to Chad and I, we're not looking at these players saying, oh, they're going to be terrible this week. I mean, they may be, but they had their matchups. We're looking at the matchup and saying it's not favorable to the player doing well this week. They could bust through that, no pun intended, and be, okay, maybe they get lucky with they break one long or whatever it might be. But ultimately, we think the matchup is not favorable for a start this week, and we're recommending maybe you look for other options if you have them. So Aaron Jones definitely fits that role. And I know, BroMob, I'm with you. I feel your pain. You reached, you got it. You maybe didn't reach. We taught you better. Knock it off. But you grabbed Aaron Jones in maybe that 3rd round, let him sneak to you, and you're ready to deploy what I think is going to be the Christian McCaffrey of this year. He's the Golden Glove type guy that you got deeper that just smacks everybody in the league and you get to the playoffs. I know this is getting long-winded, but you gotta come with you gotta
Golden Glove.
Just,
here it is.
Don't worry about it, all right, Chad. I know you don't know what this means because it's rare for you to ever win anything.
Confused.
But here's the deal: you're gonna want to put Aaron Jones on your bench.
Yeah, and BroMob, you're not gonna like this one either because again, it's another player that was drafted probably in the 3rd rounds of your draft, right around Aaron Jones, to be honest. Mr. Keenan Allen. Brian, I think you're going to argue with me on this one because you don't see it. But here's the thing. There's a lot of mouths to feed in Los Angeles right now. I almost said San Diego as well. There's a lot of mouths to feed. And what's going to happen, the Colts were one of the better defenses, surprisingly, in the league last year. They were middling in the passing. They were around 16th in the league in the passing, but they were 8th against the run, so they're going to try their best to bottle up the run defense. But at the same time, with Melvin Gordon being gone, this Colts defense is going to try its best to put down any stars on this offense as possible, and Keenan Allen's the biggest star there is. So they're going to be double teaming him. They're going to be stopping him as much as they can, which BroMob coincidentally is probably going to open the game up for players like Hunter Henry and Mike Williams to have really good games because they're going to be seeing single coverage. I mean, Mike Williams is one of the biggest individuals I've ever seen other than DK Metcalf and Josh Gordon. But Hunter Henry up the middle is going to have a field day as well, especially if Keenan Allen's drawing coverage from the linebacker, the safety, and the corner whenever he's doing those cross routes down the field there. So if that's happening, Hunter Henry's going to have wide open lanes if they're doing the proper type of offensive calling, and that's bringing Keenan Allen in on routes and sending Hunter Henry on post routes to the right. If that happens, I always call it the Jeremy Shockey Madden NFL play because there was a guy I played against. He used the play every single time. It was play action to Tiki Barber, and it would throw it to Jeremy Shockey for the touchdown almost every single play because it was impossible to cover. This is what's going to happen here. Hunter Henry, Mike Williams are going to have big games because they're using the Jeremy Shockey 1-2 punch.
Oh my God, you crack me up. Here's the deal. I don't like it. I don't agree with this. I think Keenan Allen this might be one that we have to put a bet on, Chad, because I think Keenan Allen is a must play. He's one of those guys that I think is nearly matchup proof. You almost have to play him each week because of his potential. I know he typically gets off to a slow start every year, except for last year, week 1, he blew up for like over 20 points, and then was slow getting out of the gate from there. But I see, maybe you're right with the way the game starts. There's no Gordon. The Colts come in, they try to say, hey, beat us with these other schmucks at running back. But I think all of a sudden those schmucks start beating them at running the ball, and all of a sudden you start seeing maybe a halftime adjustment, and that's where Keenan Allen comes out and dominates the second half. I think that could definitely be the game script. So I don't know if I agree with this, but I'm willing to put 5 on it.
Hey,
if
I'll
you
definitely
think
put 5 on it. I'll do this right here. Over under 10 fantasy points. I'm going under. I do not think he gets a double-digit game in this.
I'll take that. Put 5 on it.
I got 5 on it.
Done. That's easy
All
money.
Right.
Easy money, BroMob. So here's
Keenan
one
Allen's
where
not going to do that, dude. He's going to have a bad game. And you know what? I'm not going to let you say the last one because you don't agree with this one either. So I'm going to go with this as well. Tyler Boyd, ladies and gentlemen. I understand he's going to be a solid wide receiver 2 for your team this fantasy season. He's not going to do good week 1. Seattle, they were the 17th. It's hidden because they were actually a really good passing defense last year, but they only ranked 17th against the pass. Tyler Boyd is the only receiver, ladies and gentlemen, in Cincinnati. But Chad, what about these other schmucks on the team? Exactly.
But Chad, but Chad, what about these other days?
Okay? None of them. It's going to be terrible. They're going to have a hard time passing the ball. Andy Dalton is going to get his mind blitzed out of his body. Okay, that defense is going to be a much better blitzing defense than last year. And yes, I understand they lost Frank Clark. It doesn't matter. They've added a lot of names. One of them being Jadeveon Clowney just recently. This defense is going to be nasty. It's going to get at the quarterback. Andy Dalton is not good against the rush. The pass rush there, and they have an awful offensive line. He's going to be scrambling and running for his life. Tyler Boyd won't even be able to get open long enough to even see the football. I think he's going to have a terrible week.
You know what I have to say to that, Chad?
What do you got to say?
Psh. Psh. Okay.
You pish it up, and you go ahead and start Tyler Boyd.
Psh. Psh. Actually, I do like Tyler Boyd call. All right.
I've convinced thee. Now you understand. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't like it. Don't like it at all. So
I don't like it at all either. All right, BroMob. Well, that's going to do it for today's show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday and Wednesday to stay up to date on your fantasy football world and to gather any insights on how to dominate your fantasy football league.
And BroMob, one last reminder. If you have any guys playing tomorrow for the Green Bay Packers or Chicago Bears, get them out of your flex spot. You don't want your flex spot to be a Thursday night game. Also, get over to keytothetitle.com so you can learn more about what's going on. We're keeping you up to date on a weekly basis. There's all kinds of data and information there to help you make smart, informed decisions around starts, sits, waiver pickups, etc. So head over to keytothetitle.com.
If you're not on Apple Podcast, we're also on Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and anywhere else that you can listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at FF Bros Podcast, and be sure to check out our website, thefantasyfootballbros.com, for all kinds of articles, rankings, news, and so much more, BroMob. See you next week.
Bye, everybody, and get those dubs.